Officials from China and the United States meet to discuss cybersecurity and law enforcement issues. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. It was back in April when Chinese President Xi Jinping and US President Donald Trump agreed to establish bilateral dialogues, a cabinet-level framework for negotiations in 4 key areas. Since then, the two sides have held comprehensive talks on diplomatic and security issues, the economy, and people-to-people exchanges. And this week, representatives from China and the United States met here in Washington to discuss concerns in the area of cybersecurity and law enforcement. For more, we turn now to CGTN's Nathan King in our newsroom. And Nathan, cybercrime and the repatriation of foreign nationals were among the very difficult issues discussed. What progress was made?
Yeah, I'm glad you said difficult, because apart from the economic dialogue of the 4, this is actually a very difficult one, not just because of cybersecurity, but also because of the issues involved. Let's talk about law enforcement, because Beijing has wanted for a long time the foreign nationals here that are accused of crimes back in China to be sent back to China within a period of time. That looks like there's going to be progress on that repatriation within 30 days of all the papers being put back together. Also, on fugitives, there seems to be some progress as well. Cyber is a big problem for the two countries. As you know, the rules of the road of cyber activity, whether it be espionage or military secrets or business secrets, aren't actually written anywhere, right? It's a big developing area. So I want to read you this joint statement, part of the joint statement. On cybersecurity, the document says that China and the US agreed to continue implementing an agreement reached by President Xi Jinping and Barack Obama back in 2015. Basically, that both countries will not knowingly conduct the sponsored theft of intellectual property, trade secrets or business information to give their nation's companies an advantage. Also, they developed this hotline mechanism between the two countries to talk about urgent cybercrime incidents and cooperate on investigation. But of course, behind the scenes, both countries have suspicions about what the other is doing, and specific cases are obviously raised a lot in the media. So we'll have to wait and see, but at least they're talking. And this is very important on cyber, because as you know, it doesn't just have business and strategic interests as well. Hacking around the world, people are pointing fingers at each other, so it's good that they have these levels of communication.
Right, Nathan, let's take a step back here. This was the last of the 4 areas established by the two presidents for these comprehensive dialogues earlier this year. How effective have they been?
Well, there were dialogues before, of course, Mar-a-Lago summit, but they've been streamlined and lifted to a higher level. Let's just quickly go through the ones there. There was the diplomatic and strategic one that you talked about, the economic one, the cyber one that we've had, and also the cultural one, the people-to-people exchanges, bringing people from different countries, meshing the two cultures, if you like. I think that one, which was the one previous to cyber, was very successful. A lot of push to try and bring two countries' cultures together, education, intellectually. The diplomatic and strategic one, also quite successful in terms of laying out parameters and red lines for both countries in terms of their strategic interests in the Pacific and around the world and where they can cooperate. The big one, of course, is economic. And while we saw some progress on low-hanging fruit, for example, the US bringing beef back into China after years of ban, the Chinese being able to import cooked chicken, for example, into the US, there are still some big problems for the Americans in terms of market access to China. China also investment here in the US. We've had a semiconductor deal, for example, blocked recently. So there's much more room to go on that. There was a 100-day plan, as you know, and a lot of that is going to be hopefully solved, or at least addressed, when US President Trump goes to Beijing in early November.